Where were you when Donald Trump was president? This is a question you can expect to hear from your future children, grandchildren, friends, and coworkers. How will you want to answer? I'm Professor David Pelletier, and I'm the director of the Cornell in Washington program. I want to take a few minutes to suggest what you might want to answer. Actually, I was in Washington, D.C. Cornell in Washington has been here since the spring semester of 1980. That means the first Cornell students enrolled here during the Iranian hostage crisis in 1979. Cornellians like yourself were coming to D.C. throughout the so-called Reagan Revolution in the 1980s, which saw the largest tax cuts in U.S. history, massive cutbacks in social programs, and a massive military buildup. Does any of this sound familiar? Cornell students were here during the first space shuttle mission in 1981 and the first shuttle disaster in 1986. Cornellians were here in 1988, still during the Reagan years, when 1.4 million undocumented immigrants applied for and received amnesty, 70% of whom were from Mexico. Students like you were here when the Berlin Wall fell in 1989. Students were attending Cornell in Washington during the 9/11 attacks and the subsequent wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. They were here during Hurricane Katrina and the financial crisis of 2008 and the government shutdown of 2013. And Cornellians were here during the election of the first African-American president for 2 consecutive terms. Why is this important? Because I want to highlight that history has been made throughout the lifetime of Cornell in Washington. Washington was the epicenter of all these dramatic historical events, or the nation's response to them. During those years, Cornell students interned in federal agencies, the White House, Capitol Hill, nonprofit organizations, think tanks, the NIH, major news outlets, and other organizations that were connected to these events in one way or another. And of course, events in Washington are once again making history and shaping our future. It's clear that no one really knows what this will look like in the coming months or years. We all have our hopes and our fears, but the reality is emerging literally every day. You can be a first-hand witness and participant in this most recent and most dramatic moment in history. You can take part in efforts to support it or subvert it, to shape it or derail it as you see fit. You can read, view, and learn about it from Ithaca. But you can place yourself at the epicenter here in Washington, be in a city where you literally feel history in the making every day when walking down the street. Intern in an organization that is connected to that history in some way, and make sense of it all alongside your fellow students who are living and learning for a semester or a summer in Cornell's Wolpe Center here in the heart of the district. So when someone in the future asks you, where were you when Trump was president? Cornell in Washington provides you with a chance to answer, I was in Washington, I was there. But more important, Cornell in Washington provides you with a chance to experience history in the making and gain a perspective that will stay with you for a lifetime.